So if the church doesn't do its work, there is not going to be a change in our culture. It's just not. We can turn to whatever mechanism we want, but God is not going to make a change until the church decides to do what he calls it to do. And the only place where the restrainer, where righteousness is present, sin is restrained. So sin is getting bad. It's not the sinner. Sinners sin. You don't get mad when a bird flies off. It's a bird. You don't get mad when a fish swims off. It's a sweat fish. So when sinners sin, that's what they do. But when it comes to the righteous, we restrain it. So sin is proliferating itself. We, the righteous, are not doing our jobs in our families and in the church. We're just not.
Hey there, it's Faith Talk Today. I'm Rick Probst. It's another wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for being with us. Today we have the honor, the privilege to talk to Dr. Paul Cannings again. He, of course, the host of Power Walk Ministries. You hear that here at Faith Talk Atlanta. We're going to talk about a conference that's coming up in a beautiful place. The state is amazing, and so is the area. It's His Family Matters United Bible Conference coming up in May. Doc, how are you?
I am good. How are you doing, Rick?
Doing very, very well. As I researched where the conference was, and I know there's going to be a lot of work there with the conference because a conference is work, right? If you're attending, obviously, if you're speaking, if you're leading sessions or whatever, but that is one beautiful place, and it's Lake Junaluska, North Carolina, and it's somewhere around the Asheville area. It's just either north, northeast, northwest, but it's just a beautiful area. So we want to encourage all the pastors and leaders to check that out. It's May the 24th through the 26th. Now, Doc, this conference, let's talk about what's going to go on. What are you going to talk about during the His Family Matters?
Well, you know, the His Family Matters is wrapped up in a lot of different things. Number one, it's a person going to the church to serve at the local church and their spiritual gifts and how those spiritual gifts matter in terms of how effective they serve and how many people, in terms of the people they impact, in terms of God energizing them, because people could serve in the local church, but if it's not attached to a spiritual gift, all of those dynamics go away because the inner spiritual influence is not there. And then, but the family also deals with issues where I had a friend whose daughter became pregnant, and she was not necessarily submissive to the process. And so it became a turmoil in the church because, you know, why embarrass her? Why judge her? Everybody's trying. Some of these kids are doing things that just didn't get caught. All those things. So how do you manage church discipline? Because it's not popular anymore. It's not something the church should do anymore because it's embarrassing and judgmental. So all those things, how do you work through church discipline issues so that it's managed in an edifying way, but yet we still obey the scriptures? And then on top of that, the family is going to be dealing with gender issues. Now, not just the senior people where the parents are trying to manage that, or the kids are trying to figure out, is this an option? Because some kids are being told it's an option. It's just, you just never been told that by your parents.
Right.
So now they're investigating this option and then making decisions as to whether or not they want to or not want to, rather than looking at it from a biblical perspective about what God says about it. So, and then everybody runs to Sodom and Gomorrah, so they feel like, oh, okay, Sodom and Gomorrah. But what is there so many things about that the Bible writes about it? So I'm bringing my youth minister, who we've asked at our church to research, Jordan Washington, to research the whole issue of genderism and how complex it is. It really is very complex.
Yes.
And work through the dynamics so young people and adults become educated about it and not just throw the Bible at people.
Dr. Paul Cannings with us. We're talking about the His Family Matters United Bible Conference, and the church is a family, and dealing with issues that families do deal with. And you're right, Doc. Some of these issues, even with our own local churches, we're dealing with things that we didn't deal with these 5 years ago, 3, 5, 10 years ago. But these are things that are happening, and in some senses, we've not really been equipped to handle them correctly. We have the scripture, but we need leadership. So thank you for being the papa to get this thing together, so that we can talk about this thing. I know we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? But we need to be scripturally sound and pleasing to the Lord, and there is a way to do that. And thank you for putting this together. So, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, this is for everyone. Check this out. You can go to, I'll give you just right up the front here, I'll give you where you can go, ubctoday@gmail.com, and you can sign up. And it's in May, so you've got plenty of time, May the 24th through the 26th, to register for that. All right, let's talk about some of the sessions. Getting it right. What is that, Doc?
Yes, and I do want to say that this is UBC's United Bible Conference that is working collaboratively with Power Walk. But Power Walk is coming in to work with them, a conference that they have had for many years, and that we are excited that they would allow us to become their teaching partner at the conference. But yes, when it comes to body parts, is when people, you know, you got people coming from jobs, and therefore, let me give you an example. There's a lady that came, excellent school teacher, master's degree, teacher of the year, all these different things. And she came, and she's a part of Living Word at that time, and she says, I want to teach. And I said to her, oh man, we need teachers. We're excited about that. But we have a teacher training program.
Yes.
The minute I said that, she threw out her credentials, and she was teacher of the year and all these different things. And I told her, I can't. We appreciate that. There's some skill sets that could be an asset to how you deliver the message in the classroom, but it has to be a gift. And it became almost like a talk down or devaluing all the hard work she's put in to achieve all that she's achieved in the secular world. And I kept explaining to her that you gave them 6 years of your life to get to that master's degree, and then you went to specialized training, and then you had labs, and you had all these different things that allowed you to be well equipped to teach in whatever sex, whether it's a secular school or private school, because she was thinking of both. You've given them all that time. I'm just saying, would you at least allow us to give you some time? And it was a little bit offensive to her. She couldn't get it, and it took her a while to understand that that's a decision she made, but it's a decision that God makes for his church. And it comes at the point of salvation when God decides to deposit the Holy Spirit with a spiritual gift. That's what 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 10, verse 11 says. He brings it to us, and we must employ it. We must put it to work. It's our responsibility to do that. So teaching that and getting people to understand that going to church is really not a place where we sit back and criticize what's right or wrong. It's a place where we go to stimulate one another to love and good deeds, as Hebrews chapter 10 would say in verse 23 through verse 26. So God is actually asking us to go and be a part of a family and to make that family the best it could be, and not just go and sit, as my mom would say, don't sit, soak, and sour. That's my mom's 3 S's there. So I'm passionate about that, because the church, it doesn't experience the ministry of the Trinity until that's done. First Corinthians chapter 12, verse 4 through verse 8 says, that the Spirit brings the gifts. Christ determines how the gifts are used, because he's the ministries, he's the body. And then the latter verse says that God determines the results. So Paul says some people plant, some people water, but God gives the increase. So people, in trying to learn that so that they become responsible to the local church, is huge. Like I would tell my sons, I said, son, there's no maid service when you walk in the door. You got a room to clean, you got trash to take out, you got a taxi cab outside we got to wash, there's grass that needs to be mowed. There's all these different dynamics that need to take place. So when you come in our house, be a part of our family, not just in the hugs and the kisses and the devotions that we may do, but be a part of making our family great. And you're doing your part makes it great. Dad doing his part makes it great. Mom. So what makes our family a great family time is when all those things are working well. If you sit down to family time and the kitchen is stinking and the trash is stinking, can't have a good family time. So that's the same dynamic that happens in the home has to happen within the local church. For the family, God calls it a family in Ephesians chapter 3, verse 14. He calls it a family. It's a second, I call it the surrogate family. So that when the family at home breaks down, there's a surrogate family to keep us edified and built up and not torn down by this world.
I love that. Dr. Paul Cannings talking about some of the sessions that are going to go on at His Family Matters. And there's not a pastor watching or listening that hasn't gone through those same challenges, right? With the people with giftings and trying to get them trained on the same page as the church, and also the responsibility of regular church people to use your gift to build the church. Just think, Doc, what would a church look like if everyone operated in their spiritual gift? Give us a picture.
It's be powerful. I mean, the New Testament churches were outside of Jerusalem. The New Testament churches were small churches. They were house churches. You know, I travel to Africa sometimes, and men start their churches on the trees. We have this global dynamic that we sometimes forget about when we look at the large mega churches or whatever in the city. But God starts out with 12 men that impacted the world, but they were using their spiritual gifts. You know, Paul wasn't the best speaker, but he was the best writer. So when the matter of fact, the folks in Galatians says when he comes, he's not that impressive when he stands to speak. So Paul wasn't the most impressive speaker. That's why there's an issue between him and Apollos. But he was a good writer. So God had him write the New Testament, and we're blessed by those things. And that's why I say to people, it doesn't take a large church to make an impact. I mean, at the cross, Jesus Christ only had 5 people. When he set out his disciples, they changed the world because of those spiritual gifts. So the church could become this powerful mechanism that is the only 2 things Christ would walk through is the family and the church. He's not committed to nothing else. He's the head of the family and he's the head of the church. No other thing he's committed to. So if the church doesn't do its work, there is not going to be a change in our culture. It's just not. We could turn to whatever mechanisms we want, but God is not going to make a change until the church decides to do what he calls it to do. And then when you go to the book of Revelation, 5 churches failed. And that's why we have Satan showing up massively in chapter 11 and chapter 12 and developing a world religion by chapter 13. Is because the church failed. So the church, as a matter of fact, in First Thessalonians says the restrainer is in the church. So in order for us to have the keys, Matthew 16, to the gates of Hades, are in the church. So if we want to actually make an impact to the world, the only place that God has got the keys, the Trinity is working, and the only place where the restrainer, where righteousness is present, sin is restrained. So if sin is getting bad, it's not the sinner. Sinner is sin. You don't get mad when a bird flies off. It's a bird. You don't get mad when a fish swims off. It's a fish. So when sinners sin, that's what they do. But when it comes to the righteous, we restrain it. So sin is proliferating itself. We, the righteous, are not doing our jobs in our families and in the church. We're just not. And we're held accountable for that in the book of Revelation.
Now, can you tell that Dr. Cannings is in his sweet spot there? I mean, he is bringing it. And let me tell you, he does. So I want you to go to this conference. I also want you to go to his website, and it's powerwalkministries.org, because you'll see more of that. You experience more of that. And not just about these topics, of course, but stuff that can help you personally, can help your church, can help just you move things forward in your life. I want you to do that. And of course, listen to him here at Faith Talk Atlanta Monday through Friday. It is His Family Matters United Bible Conference, May the 24th through the 26th at Lake Junaluska, North Carolina. And that's just a sample of what you're going to experience. Doc will speak, Dr. Christopher Pittman, and also Jordan Washington will talk, and they'll cover so many topics. I wish we had more time to talk about it, but I want you to check it out. Go to ubctoday@gmail.com. Doc, as always, thank you so much for your time. You're amazing. We always enjoy time with you. Listen, we got to go. Time is out.
Appreciate it.
What a great
Appreciate
time.
it so much.
What a great time.
Thank you so much, Rick. You're a blessing, man. Thank you for doing this. I sincerely mean that. And we so appreciate the relationship that God continues to develop at the station. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Doc.
Look forward to seeing you guys. I'm going to get there a little early and hang out with a few of you guys if you're over there.
Yeah, we're excited about it. Coming to town, coming to Atlanta. We're looking forward to see you then. Dr. Paul Cannings. Hey, next weekend we'll have a great show as well. Don't forget, you can watch and see this particular interview again on our podcast at faithtalkatlanta.com and then on YouTube. It is going to be one that you can not only enjoy yourself again, but share it, will you? Because we all need to hear what Doc was just talking about. All right. Thank you, Ezra Ortiz, my amazing producer, for getting this together and helping me to make this show actually sound like a show. Hey, until next weekend, I'm Rick Probst. See ya.